I'll get into it then because it's 37. So if you fancy dropping a like, just a bit of feedback for me, break the ice. Shrewsbury, Norfolk, Gretna Green. Cheers, Jacqueline. Spoke to you earlier. Nice to have you. 40 people, perfect. So I actually chose to do the live at 4 p.m. because I thought it's a time where hopefully there's not 100 people on, but hopefully there's not 2 people on. So this is a time that we're willing to go with. So this call is basically for anyone, because anyone that is an existing landlord and just basically wants to scale up, whether you've got a bit of equity, or whether you're just transitioning and just starting. Obviously, a lot of you know. I can see I've spoken to quite a few of you. I started off as a client, now work for Steve, so I'm just going to go into my story, how I started, where my portfolio, basically how I first acquired the deals, because it's a bit not a creative deal. The strategy's on YouTube quite a bit. I'll also go into what I did wrong. I did 3 deals in one, which basically shook me up a little bit. Where else are we at? Looking good. Cheers, Sean. I try. I've got my nice fancy light, red car. Sunny Bridgewater. Is anyone in Yorkshire? Katie, thanks for joining. Loud and clear. Hi, Natalie. Boom, look at this. Driving hands-free, good to hear. Yeah, so basically, anyone, if you've got equity, I'll tell you how to use equity. If you've got bad credit, I'll give you a few ways around bad credit. And we'll just try to keep it a bit informal, because one of the motivations to do this is you see a lot of tons of webinars from other property investment companies, and no one literally says call, and it's a sales pitch. Now, I'm not going to go hard. It's not going to be like, you guys need this, because not everyone does. Straight away, if you've already got a business plan, if you've got cash, if you've got knowledge, if you've got a support line, you probably won't need it. But if you don't have that, that's why you'll be looking our way, and I suppose why you've interacted on the page, why you've joined the live. So instead of just, doing a webinar where it's, 5 tips on how you can grow your portfolio, and the 5 tips are, you need to buy a course. I'll just try and be transparent, and that's why I've phrased it how it is. 66 people, bloody hell. Why aren't you all working? Right. So my story started because a lot of people assume that I had a background in property. If anyone's from West Yorkshire, I worked at a place called Lotherton Hall. Basically, if you've got a kid that went to school in West Yorkshire, I'd have taught them Morse codes dressed in bloody tweed for World War II Day. I know, crazy. I got promoted from pot washing up to the cook, then actually got told off and I had to go work in the house as a punishment, and I loved it. It was the easiest work ever. There was no stress or anything. And they do a Christmas event. Basically, I worked, I think, in 2 weeks in a row, 70 hours each week. And it's actually my partner's dad, so I don't know if my partner's watching. She should be at work if she is. My partner's dad took me around a HMO that he had in Headingley in Leeds. If anyone knows where Headingley is in Leeds, student area. And I did 70 hours for a couple of weeks in a row, and I was buzzing because my wage was going to be about 1700 quid. This HMO that my partner's dad had, Nick, was clearing over £2,000 per month, and he was basically laughing, saying, I don't work and I earn more than you. And he was saying it tongue in cheek, and I was like, flipping heck. So I was like, I was 18 at the time, so I was like, I'm 18, left school, going to be working till I'm 65, or I could buy one of these and be paid what I'm getting paid now. So that kind of planted the seed. And then Steve was running a one day in December 2018, so at the time I was still 19. He ran the course. I told my mum and dad, and they said, do not take your card, he's going to be selling something. So I didn't take my card, and then I signed up anyway. 1600 quid, the same as it is now. 1600 quid, and my card got declined, and I bottled it for 2 weeks. There you go. So literally went home, card was declined. I had an email basically saying we'll need to retake it, and I just went cold turkey. I'm sure a few people can resonate with that. So I ended up I realised nothing was going to change. I knew I was going to succeed, whether I'm with Steve or not, and I just thought if Steve is going to get me there quicker, if I put 1,600 quid to get there quicker, then it's worth my money. So I fully signed on in the Jan 2019 and then sat the 3-day in June 2019. Now, obviously the 3-day, I'll go into that in more detail. And 3 weeks later, I had my first 3 properties. Now, it was one deal that had 3 properties. And is anyone aware of what a lease option agreement is? Can you drop a 1 if you know what a lease option agreement is? Michael, you're a student there. Student doing what at Lotherham? I wasn't even born in 1995. Yeah, so lease option agreement. Basically, you could straight away tell that it was nice, Alex. So lease option agreement, basically, nine times out of 10, there need to be properties in negative equity. So if you don't know what a property in negative equity is, it's basically when the mortgage that you owe the bank is more than what the house is worth. Probably the worst position you can be in property. So this particular seller was called Sammy. They were on the market above market value. In that area, most properties on the market would be either negative equity or the landlords are losing money. So I basically said, look, I can go further into story. Basically, typical defaulting on the mortgage, had shit tenants in, and I'll go into how we got around the shit tenants as well. Needed carpet, skirting board, paint, things like that. And he was just like, I can't even afford to pay the mortgage. I've defaulted on it for 5 months. I don't want them taking my family home. If he sold them to break even, he would have had to give the banks £30,000 just to wipe his feet. Imagine that. Yeah, not good. So, typical lease option agreement, I basically said to him, look, how much are your mortgages? And the mortgages were 150 quid a month per house. I thought it was going to be less than that. Not ideal, but that's what it was. So I said, right, I'll cover your mortgages, 150 quid a month per property. I'll take over them, which means instead of me getting a new mortgage, having to pay stamp duty, having to pay not a deposit, well, yeah, having to put a deposit down, stamp duty, searches, all I had to pay was the legal fees. So it was a good deal for me and a good deal for him because he saved 30 grand. So I'm paying 150 quid per month for 3 properties. So 450 quid. They were your typical 2 up, 2 down. They only rented out for 375 each. And actually took a little bit less than that. So 350 per property. So paying out 450 a month, bringing in 1,050 a month. So it's alright. It's alright. Now, how we rented that one out, and the bit where I screwed up as well, is I thought, yeah, I can afford £450 a month. Well, I didn't realise that I'd have to pay the council tax all 3 properties, so my outgoings weren't £450 a month while they were empty. It was actually near £1,000 a month, which weren't good as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. Now, the one thing that Steve teaches and Gemma on the last day of the 3-day, yet again, I'll come into that in more detail, is how to let it out. Now, with lease options, especially when you're going to get a certain type of clientele, so more so, people that aren't working on benefits, etc., etc. So what I did is actually put an ad out on Facebook saying, guys, property to let, 2-bed, Bishop Auckland, John Street, looking for people that aren't working or open to people that aren't working. And oh my god, I think I had about 30 inquiries within the day, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this street, there's actually properties that are empty, and I've had about 30 inquiries. Now, the reason why I've gone for tenants that are on benefits is what you could used to do, I think it was about 3 years ago, is you'd get guaranteed rent. So they wouldn't get their benefits or housing benefits, you would get that paid direct. Now, a couple of years ago, they actually stopped that, so the tenant has to pay you direct, which screwed up a lot of landlords, along with Section 24 in 2016 as well, which is why some people say buy-to-lets are dead. Now, one thing that Steve and Gemma realised is they said that they would pay you direct though, if they're 8 weeks in arrears. So, not a loophole, but a bit of a loophole there. So, what I put on the tenancy, I actually got it given to me from Steve and Gemma as part of the training, is they need to pay 8 weeks in advance. So, on day one of moving in, they're technically 8 weeks in arrears. See where I'm coming from? 8 weeks in arrears. So, on day one of moving in, I get paid direct from housing benefits from Durham County Council at 1 minute past midnight on the 13th of every month, which is why I took a little bit less. They would only cover £350 rather than £375, and I couldn't honestly be bothered asking for the extra £25. So that was those rented, which was great. So I was cutting about. Actually, straight away, as soon as I was bringing in the extra £7,000 a year, bang, went and financed the new car. Steve weren't happy. Is he on? Is Steve on while he's in Turkey? So yeah, I suppose that's my car finance paid for. Now, if you're wondering what costs that acquired, because it's classed as a no money down deal, now people will say, oh, but you've got to pay for a contract. Yes, I did. So I had to pay £900 per property. So I paid £2,700 to the solicitors. Stupidly, I could have just used the same contract and just changed the number from 3 to 4 and to 5. But now, as part of the training, you guys get the contracts anyway. Maybe just pay a solicitor to look over it once you've drawn it up. Flipping out 90 people. Is everyone finishing work? So yeah, so that was great. That was my first 3, and then I was cutting about thinking I'm a multi-millionaire. That's how I felt anyway. It hits a slight bit differently when you know you've got £7,000 coming in this year without even working. So I was on a 0-hour contract, £8 an hour. So yeah, great feeling. So from there, I actually did some more training with Steve, and I was helping out at the events for free because I just thought it's good to be around them, especially the mindset side, which I actually didn't have any interest in whatsoever. So I ended up basically hounding Steve for a job, and I think it was only a team of 4 people at the time, and I just said, look, Steve, because Steve talks about you'll always be paid in direct proportion to value that you add. Even just little things, how he lets his team make decisions. If they made the wrong decision, they'll tell them, but don't come to him with an issue. Come to him with an issue and 2 solutions. You know what I mean? How he gets you to think. No micromanagement. And I was going into the police at the time. I had a month to kill. So I hounded him for a job. No, we're not taking on. I just said, look, hire me as your bitch. Your property bitch. I'll do viewings for you. I'll help you with lettings. I'll help you with marketing. I'll do calls. I'll be at events. And he said, we do not need anyone. I was like, Jesus Christ. So anyway, throughout the week I just thought, what can I do different? And we were going to see one of his developments, the 2.8 mil one. And I said, shotgun in your car, because I love cars. And he was like, yeah, all right, I'll take you in my car. And I basically said to him, look, I'll work a month for free. I'll be a bitch for a month for free. And I know you want to keep me after that. So I worked a month, and bloody hell, I'm still here. Nearly 2.5 years on. So it is going well. Now, from that, there was actually a period of about 6 months, because I was talking about property every day. I actually couldn't be asked talking about property and viewing properties. Now, since then, personal journey, I'm now training for an Ironman, and I used to be right cakey, if anyone knew me before that. Flipping heck, I could not run a bath. I've now done an ultra marathon, 40 miles, Brecon Beacons, doing an Ironman in July. That's personal achievements. In regards to property, I've got property in a place called Garforth, a place called RAF Church Fenton. If there's any RAF people on here that used to serve there. RAF Church Fenton. Where else? And then Featherstone. I'm going to come on to the most recent deal that we've just done there as well. So from that, if anyone's in the page with a pension, super good thing that we're currently doing at the moment is it's been a long process. It was meant to take 3 months. It's currently been 18 months because we've managed to get my dad into property as well when he said that he would never ever get onto it. That's a funny story as well. Some of you will know that. A small self-administered scheme, so a SAS. So what that's allowed us to do is my dad had quite a large pension that he forgot about from working for British Gas, but his knees are knackered, he's knackered, and he's stopped working. He can't retire at 65, needs to be retiring flipping 20 years earlier than that. He's a bit past that though. So what the SAS is allowing us to do is to put his pension into a self-administered scheme, and we're actually investing that into property. So that's what I'll be doing looking forward. And then my most recent deal now, and this is what I want to start getting you guys to understand, is how to recycle deposits. That's the key thing that we're teaching you, whether it's vendor finance, whether you don't have your own money and you're lending money, it's how to recycle money, how to recycle deposits, how to buy, refurb, refinance, how to use vendor finance, how to use angel investors, how to use private investors. All of it's recycling. You're going to be either lending and paying back or recycling in a year's time. That's all we're doing here really. It's nothing too out of the box. We don't do any of this coloured envelope stuff, or rent to rent. We want to own the properties and want to recycle the finance. So super simple example. The property was actually up for 125 grand. I put it into the group because I said, guys, do we reckon it's worth around that much? And they reckoned 120-ish, 115, 120 on a good day. Now, we actually managed to buy the property for 100 grand. And I'm not going to make it out either, because I know a lot of trainers make it out super easy. I bet I offered on around 13, 14 properties to find it at that amount. So yeah, well, wasn't easy. It wasn't a one hit, one kill. Took me about 5 weeks to find that. Now, how that's structured is 25 grand will go down as a deposit, or has gone down as a deposit. The stamp duty is actually mortgaged, which I'll come on to at the end of the call. That is going to worth your while. Stick to the end of the call. That'll be one tip that you want to implement on every single purchase. So 25 grand down as a deposit, and the mortgage is cheap as chips because we've put in our own name. So it's 1.6% on 75 grand. Someone wants to work that out, smart ass. Should work out about 100 quid a month. We're paying 105 quid a month anyway. What are the comments saying? I'll come back to the comments. So the mortgage is 105 quid a month, which is ridiculously good. We got the mortgage in about October, November time, and then it only completed about a month ago. Now, we put it up for rent at about 645, happy with that. We had about 2 tenants battle out, and basically one of them offered 695, and we said, boom, let's do it. So that's going to make us around 7 grand a year. If you put that into a limited company, which we do advise, it'll make about 6 grand a year. That, as it is a good deal. That's about 20-25% return ROI. It's a good deal as it is, just that. Now, here's the sexual bit. This is where stuff starts to get good. Once we've owned the property for a year, we can renew the mortgage because it's on a 1-year product. So we're going to go back to, let's say, Barclays, and we'll say, hi Barclays, the property's worth 125. My mortgage is only 75. So we've got 50 grand equity there. Can we pull out half of the equity, which means our loan to value will go up to 80% instead of 75%, which does mean the rates will go up. So instead of paying 100 quid a month, we'll likely be paying 150, even up to 200 quid a month. And they'll say, yes, of course. So we'll get the 25 grand back because we're pulling out equity after a year of owning it. So we'll take the 25 grand, and can anyone guess what we're going to do next? We take the 25 grand and go and buy property number 2 using the same strategy. Sit on that one for a year. You're obviously buying it below market value, but you've got 11 months to find it below market value. Take that one and go and buy the next one. So that's straight away from one small deposit, one property a year. The catch with that is obviously you've got to expect the market to stay the same or go up. Because a lot of people are saying there's going to be a crash, and they have done for the last, said there's going to be a crash for the last 2.5 years. Do we think there's going to be some sort of correction? Yes. my personal opinion, well, not my opinion, what I've heard from the other investors in the group is properties are still flying off the market. Even though the interest rates are going up, the market isn't slowing down. So hopefully there's a correction, and hopefully there's a crash. Because if there is, that just allows us to straight away buy property below market value. And I'm doing that because all I'm doing is rinse and repeat. Whether you're buying with bridging finance, angel investors, joint venture finance, whether it is a joint venture, private investors, the list goes on. You're buying property below market value, which will be able to refinance a hell of a lot easier. Recycling cash is probably harder in a market as strong as it is now. So Tom, how did you manage to get 8 weeks in arrears from when they moved in? This is the lease option. I didn't. So although on paper they were 8 weeks in advance, and Durham County Council, well, any council, see that as arrears, I started getting paid from day one. So on paper I'm 8 weeks in arrears, but I'm actually just getting paid up to date. Get to a bit about stamp duty on mortgage. Perfect. No, the 25k isn't tax, Sean. That's no, because that's not profit. That's what I already own. Jacqueline, property near me is disgusting expensive. Brilliant. Play to your strengths. So there's a guy. I'm trying to think of his name. So there's a guy called Jess in our community. Now what he does, and there you go. We won't be able to do this up north. What he does is he buys a 1-bed flat. This is based down south, so around London location, for about 250. All he does is changes the stud walls and makes it from a large 1-bed into a small 2-bed, and he'll straight away clear 80 grand. If I tried to do that in Yorkshire, probably would lose money on the stud walls. So play to your strengths. Do you want to be trying to buy houses for 100 grand down there? No. Do you want to be, doing other strategies where you'll be able to do less work and make a quicker profit? I hate saying quick profit, but a quicker profit than up north? Yes, absolutely. And I'll come into another strategy that you'll be able to implement wherever you are. That's quite a hot topic in the academy at the moment. So let me just see where I'm at. I've got a few notes here. If anyone's got any more questions, shot them in. I'm just having a look where I'm at. Latest deal, yeah. Bam, 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 bam. Done. So that strategy where you're just recycling deposit, recycle deposit, one on. Boom, Chris. There you go, Chris. Doing that right now with a studio flat for a 1-bed, 50k increase London. And what's that? You were on the train in March, I think, Chris, last month. Yeah, there you go. For example, 1-bed can go for 250, 500k. There you go, you're in a great position. Cheers, Chris. Exactly. So, and the reason why I've gone into that strategy, and some of you probably come into this webinar thinking, I want to be a millionaire, and I've gone into a strategy where year 1 you'll be making 6 grand, year 2 you'll be making 12 grand, year 3 you'll be making 18 grand from just recycling the deposit. Is, as much as yes, we've had clients build up to £1 million portfolio quick, and I know other trainers will have as well, and that's what's often sold. How about an extra 500 quid bonus a month each year, if that makes sense? Just doing that once a year. So that's what my brother's done the training now, my dad's done the training, my mum's done the training. I'm trying to get Jess on the training, my partner, and if she's watching, I'm hoping to get her on it as well. And then who else? Natalie, who commented previously, she's my cousin. She was on the training in March, so it's becoming a bit of a family affair now. Definitely. So that's just a few little nuggets on basically what I'm trying to do is qualify me, my journey, how I started at 19, and what qualifies me to be able to give you the advice, I suppose, picture on what I'm going to go into now. Now, I'm one of the admins on this page, and you should see the messages of how much is the course, what do you get for it. And the thing is, it's not like one question of what's on it. It's, have you got a breakdown, this, that. So what I want to do is, this webinar is, yes, for the 75 on now, but also I want to create one central hub where we can just say, look, here's a full timeline. Because, This is probably, I know people will spend 1,600 quid on car finance for a few months' payment, they'll spend 1,600 quid on holiday, more than they'll spend 1,600 quid on watches, clothes. But when it comes to spending 600 quid on themselves, it's like, oh, spending it on myself. And I understand that totally. I was the same. I bottled it for 3 weeks. But some people actually say, yeah, but you were more naive because you were a 19-year-old. And I think that's one way of looking at it. Definitely. So, as a bit of a timeline then, the course is 1,600 quid. So 1,391 plus VAT, which is 1,669 quid. So that's if you pay it in one. There are options to pay in instalments, but then the price is 1,885, just because we want you to pay in full, to be totally honest. Now, what you get for that is you're not just getting the 3-day course, you're actually buying into a full package. So, for example, as a timeline, let's say you guys booked on today, what you guys would get, and this is a bonus for this call, you get 2 online courses. It's just that we're selling previous. You'll have seen we were selling a couple of them in the lockdown. You get to choose 2 out of 4 courses. We're not giving you them all. So you'd have that as pre-course material, and then you'd get added into a support group, which I'll come back to, just to say with the investors. So you would choose a 3-day date, and I'm pretty sure the date is already added. So if you look at the pinned comment, the date is added. Now, the structure for the 3 days, and I'll dip into the models a little bit. Day 1 is mindset and you setting goals. So it's not the mindset like, we will win, we will succeed. Because I turned up as a 19-year-old saying, I know I'm going to be successful, I don't really need the mindset, let's just get to the property. No, it's not that sort of mindset at all. This is the sort of mindset of how to control your emotions. And yet again, digging deep, people think I'm in control of my emotions. Probably not as much as you think, especially when you're dealing with, traders, solicitors taking the piss. For example, if you're feeling shit or if you feel anxious about talking to an investor or anything, what you've got to realise is, let's say if you're feeling shit, who comes up to you and injects you with that shit? No one. It's your own brain. So it's about to be able to recognise that and get in control of it. That is worth anyone's 1,600 quid. Totally. It changes how you act with your partner, everyday situations. I don't have as much road rage anymore, and everything. But you can see how it'll impact your business. You will also goal set. So Steve takes you through models, helps you goal set, and you'll basically say, right, Steve, team, because there's coaches in the room as well, say, right, this is what I've got available. This is my position, whether you've got shit credit. This is what I don't have available. This is the time I want to put towards it. This is the time I don't want to put towards it. And then in days 2 and 3, that's when we're going to the property model. So you'll be taught, off the top of my head, I'd say about 20 different strategies and different combinations, because we'll go into a few different strategies, but also then there's about 10 different ways of financing it. You can mix and match. And you'll basically say, because after the course, you have a week to draw up your action plan. And you'll basically say, right, this is where I want to be. This is the things and tools that are going to get me there. I like the sound of that. Don't like the sound of that. I'll do that year 2. I'll do that year 3. I'll do 1 HMO. I'll transition in 3 buy-to-lets. And you have a plan to do so. So you have a workbook to refer back to. You have the training that's run by Steve. There's also, Steve can answer questions on the break. There's 10 coaches going around the room at the time of Steve teaching it. At the break, speak to us, get individual advice, bring deals to it. We will talk to deals. We will unstack deals live in the room with you in the breaks. We just try to give you as much as you can where you don't have any excuses. From a selfish point of view, a business point of view, but also so you guys feel prepared to go and take action. It's basically mitigating procrastination. So from that, after the course, that's it. You're just left to your own devices. Joking. You follow your plan. So after the course, you follow your plan. Now, here's the key bit. This is probably the USP. This is yet again where you'll get the most value. With the 1,600 quid, it isn't just for the 3 days and then see you later. You actually get Steve's team. you get his mortgage broker, his accountant, his solicitor, you get letting support, you get there's letting agents in the group, there's traders in the group, builders, based all up and down the UK since we were in Rich House Poor House about 2 years ago. So this support group isn't just for, I can't find a property, it's for, what does this terminology mean? Or even, guys, I missed this slide because I was at the toilet at the 3-day, what does this mean? Or, I can't make sense of my notes on the 3-day, can someone just explain this? Or, who knows a good mortgage broker? Or, I'm doing this creative deal, does anyone know a solicitor? Basically, yet again, we're just trying to give you the support and the plan. So after, because us humans are funny, and Elon Musk was talking about this on his podcast with Joe Rogan, if anyone's seen it, where humans will pay to basically get rid of the small percentage of them not succeeding, if that makes sense. So if a I'm trying to think of an example. For example, insurance for phones. There's a very small percentage that your phone's actually going to get nicked, but you'll happily pay £100 to Apple for it to get sorted. So what we understand is when people are going ahead with the deals, if they're not 100% sure in the deal, they won't go ahead with the deal. Even if they're 95% sure, they often look at that 5% as larger than the 95, which you should do, especially when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of pounds. So as much as you guys know how to value properties after the 3-day, know how to find them, know how to finance them, and you've got a step-by-step plan, that support group is going to mitigate that last 5%, which is going to get you the deals. And of course, the more results our clients get, the easier it is to sell our courses as well, from a selfish point of view. It's giving back. Now, you might be thinking, how long are you in the group for though? You don't get booted out. You're in the group forever, or until Facebook, gets, demolished, however you put it, which we don't think will ever happen. Now, you might also be thinking, well, what's the catch? It's £1,600 and I get effectively a lifetime worth of support. Now, here is the catch, and this is what differs us from other training companies. The people that you are getting the support from aren't paid. These are people that have gone through our training, have got results, and they're giving you support back. So what we ask of you guys is when you sign up and you go through the process, you get your first few properties, when you can, answer a question from experience. If you've got a minute to answer the question and you see one, please just answer it. Give back. Because what you'll know is those people that helped you get started in your journey were just pouring into you. And hopefully you recognise that and pour back into them. It's not mandatory, you don't have to, but we've created a group of giving back. Because what you find with a lot of free Facebook groups and open Facebook groups where anyone can join, they've got 30,000 members in, the company uses that as a sales platform. The content in the group is shocking. There'll be a few good posts that get quite a few likes and it bumps it to your newsfeed. If you actually go in the group, it's literally just flipping heck, I've been half an hour already. The group is literally, people go into it and think, what can I take rather than what can I give? It's just take, drain. Not great. When you're going into the group thinking, what can I give? That's good. There's people in there that will give you discount on EPCs. There's people that will give you quotes. There's people that will, estimate jobs for you. It's just, it'll mitigate that 5%. And also you'll understand why the people are giving you the advice. So I'll recap because I've gone off topic a little bit. You get the 3-day, you get the 2 online courses, you get the support group, you get the plan, you get Steve's team, you also get all the contracts that you will need, unless it's obviously for a new purchase rather than like an option agreement or something. So pretty much, I can't think of anything that I missed, and I'll go back over the comments now. Hang on a second. Nice, Greg. Well in, Diane. Yeah, Jacqueline. So 1669 is if you're paying one payment. Michael, appreciate it. Thank you for the support. The Facebook group is worth the fee alone. Kev, appreciate the support. Spud, I spend 1,600 a month on car lease payments. Yeah, exactly. Put the 1,600 quid in for yourself for once. Kev, 1 million quid portfolio. Done. Can a couple do the course? Yeah. Discounts for people doing it together. Andy, thanks for the comment, mate. Looking forward to having you in May. Chris, best 600 quid spent. Nikki, thank you for coming on. Your brother and husband have done the training. Cheers, Sean. So yeah, much appreciated for the support. I didn't even ask for that. I should have pre-planned it and had 100 people on giving support. But yeah, much appreciated. Cheers, guys. Now, for those people that are thinking, I want to know more about the strategy, I want to know more about the course, I've got questions. If you guys are thinking, yeah, but my situation is different, which most people think that as well. You're not the only one. Message the page, quote this call. You can have a free strategy call that will discuss where you are now, where you want to be, and then how we will get you there in relation to the course, but also we'll go into what strategies will be preferred to you in your area. Drop the chat a message if you want to book it in, if you want to message me on Facebook, quote this call. When you sign up, you will also get the 2 online courses, which is just a bit of a thank you for staying with us. So flipping it, we've managed to keep, there was 70 on the call, there's just under 70 now, so much appreciated for sticking with me for this long. Now, do you guys want to fire some questions in? Kirsty Hall, can I put the course through my books which will help reduce my tax? Absolutely, absolutely. Calvin, do you suggest the 3-day before Elite, or do you cover the same as part of Elite? Great question. About a third of people do jump straight to Elite. It depends where you're at in your journey. So the 3-day will cover everything you need to get your first few buy-to-lets and just general residential properties. The 3-day is for larger deals. That's for when you're wanting to move into the £1 million portfolio plus. That's when you're moving into the more creative deals, more creative finance. Obviously it's a larger investment, but with the Elite course you actually do a deal live in the room. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but you're actually made. Everyone will raise 80k investment, and they are not allowed to leave the room until they've raised 80k. Let's say if there's 60 in the room, 50 have done it. Those 50 will be helping those 10 that haven't. The mortgage broker will then come in, and you either got to get on a call live in the room, or he comes in live in the room and gets you a mortgage. Then the next day you actually find 3 deals that stack. Now, the reason it's 80 grand that you've got to raise is the course is 7 grand plus VAT at the event price. Now, that 80 grand a year would gain you 8 grand a year back, and the investor 8 grand a year back. So you leave the course at least earning the course fee back every year for the rest of your life. Now, for some people, they feel it's necessary to go onto the 3-day, see what we're about, get a return and go on to the Elite. But there's around 30, I'd say third, maybe 40% of people that just go, I know I'm doing this, if I'm doing a deal live in the room, it's a no-brainer, and they go straight to Elite. So it's personal preference, Colin. I'd say if you've already got 2, 3, 4 properties, you've already... thanks for reminding me, Tom. If you've already got properties, you've already recycled deposits or aware of that, then I'd say go straight to Elite. If you're a total virgin to it, dependent on where you're at, I'd say look at the 3-day or the Elite. Now, Tom, this is one nugget for those 70 that have stuck with this. Yeah, 70. This nugget, and I weren't actually going to give this out, but this one nugget will benefit your portfolio, your next deal. It will benefit whether your mum's buying a house, whether your dad's buying a house, whether your mum's, dad's, aunt's, friends, cat's, dog is buying a house. It will benefit that deal. Now, what you can do as part of the negotiations, how I'd always start it, is ask the seller to pay your stamp duty. So let's say if they won't take it's up for 100 grand, or you're getting it for 100 grand, or I don't know, you're trying to get it for 95 grand, say, right, well, let's settle at 100 grand then, but will you pay my legals? Now, that's obviously, you're tempting fate there a bit. You're trying to be lucky with it. Let's say they say, no chance, we're sticking at 100 grand no matter what. So what you can do is you can say, right, well, how about we'll buy it for 105 grand and you'll pay our fees. You're buying it for 5 grand over. They'll be like, well, yeah, that's the exact same. So what that does, though, to your return on investment is instead of putting in 25% of 100 grand for the deposit, which is 25 grand, and then putting in 5 grand fees, so you're putting in 30 grand for the deal, what is leaving your bank is 30 grand for the deal, you'll be putting in 25% of 105 grand. So you'll be putting in 26 grand rather than 30 grand. And if you mortgage the stamp duty, flipping heck, cost us to mortgage it about an extra £7 a month to save 3 grand. How about that, Tom? Exactly. So it's little things like that. Do that once, you've made the 1,600 quid back. Forget the support. Forget the mortgage brokers that will help manage your refinances. They'll help you with the type of finance that you get. Forget the rental income that you'll get. That one thing alone. Mortgage of the stamp duty, mortgage of fees. You can even get a little bit more creative with that. But I don't want to blow your heads. Right, let me have a drink because I've spoken for 40 minutes and not even taken a breath. Any questions? But yeah, Kirsty, put your course through your books, which will reduce your tax, absolutely. John Paul, both myself and my partner did the training, we'd do it again. You can do it again. Once you've done Elite, John Paul, you're obviously booked on for September, you could come back and come back 23 days you like. Can do 1, 2, 3 days. Will, sounds amazing. Love to start, but I have no clue where to start. Obviously, I'm going to say the 3-day, but if you're on about strategy-wise on what we'd implement for you to start, then I'd say drop the page a thumb up. In fact, I'll drop it a message now. Drop the page a thumb up and we'll get you booked in for a call with myself. It'll be a similar amount of time. We'll go into what you've got available, what you haven't, where you want to be, where you are now, and how we'll get you there. And we'll get you in for the call. And if you think it's a go, then it's a goer. Alan Graham, best decision we'll ever make doing this training. So Alan, I don't even need to sell this guy. Flipping heck. Alan won best newcomer. He's at a 2.2 mil portfolio in 2 years. He didn't have a job. Get to tax on mortgage. Done. Andrew, done. How was that? Give me a thumb up. Can you pay in instalments, Naomi? Yes, you can. So, like I said, it's 1,669 if paid in full, or 1,885 in instalments. New comment. Can that 80k on Elite be from your own pocket? Yes, it can be. So James, when you put that 80 grand, because what we're trying to do is basically put it straight into cash flow and assets. So it's a bit different to the buy, refurb, refinance. This side is about get cash flowing on day one. So if you're putting 80 grand to it and it's your own money, that 80 grand, obviously instead of giving 8 grand to an investor and 8 grand to you, you get the full 16 grand. 20% return on 80 grand. 16k. So yes, you'll basically be earning double. So for people that have got equity, Jesus Christ, my dad's now pulled out, I'll just say, my dad's pulled out 100 grand of his property and it's costing him 160 quid a month. For 100 grand. I'm not saying everyone needs to pull out 100 grand, but how about pulling out 25 grand for 40 quid a month and taking that 25 grand and straight away shotting that into the, one property a year. If you want more info and you missed the start bit, drop me a message, we'll get you booked in for a call. Come on, blow my head. I've blown your head, Andrew. Appreciated, Greg. I'll leave it open once more. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me. All I would say, guys, let me check if I missed anything. No, that's pretty much everything. So yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. Much appreciated. I can't believe I have had this many people on. Can't believe how quickly time's gone as well. I was only wanting to do 20 minutes, half an hour.